And we are now live. Please turn your Facebook, the volume on your phones, anything around you, all the way down. Um, and then
The volume.
yeah, just not on the device you're talking to me on, but like if you have other devices around you, turn the volume down. Okay. Um, and share. So we're now live. I'm gonna share. And do you guys see
Yes.
where you're live? Okay. So now you can share with whomever you like to, like I'm about to. And all righty. Give me 1 second. Um, it should be telling me I'm live, and it's not. Why am I not
I'm
live?
seeing it on my screen.
It is? Okay. Then I will go with your screen because it is. This is why I'm not the technical person, but that's all right. Here we go. All righty. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sickle Cell Experience Live. This is Maya Marissa Kors, co-founder and co-host of the Sickle Cell Experience. Today, I am joined by Dr. Tamia Austin and Naomi Aislinn out of Canada. There we go. Hey, Naomi. And we're talking about sickle cell trait and sickle cell disease, bridging the gap between the two through education and understanding. Dr. Tamia, if you would please introduce yourself.
So I am Dr. Tamia Austin. I am the executive director of the As One Foundation, where our mission is to empower families globally, delivering life-saving sickle cell education. So this is a mission-filling event, exercise activity that we're doing today. Do you need much more than that, or we'll talk, in detail later?
No, for the intro, that's about all we need for right now. Naomi, please introduce yourself. Is she here?
Naomi is frozen.
Naomi is frozen. Okay. So I'm gonna remove you and then bring you back.
Okay.
Okay, she'll come back.
Okay.
While we wait for Naomi to come back, please let us know what exactly does the As One Foundation do?
So our mission is empowerment through education for every member of the sickle cell family, sickle siblings, and as well as what we call sickle allies, those people along, that genotype that is represented by AA, meaning there's no abnormal sickle hemoglobin, but they have an interest in supporting and advocating on behalf of the sickle cell and sickle cell trait warriors. We do this through education, awareness activities, and we also provide testing because of these 4 million people in the United States that have sickle cell trait and are not aware of it. And then that percentage of them that are aware but may not really fully be aware of the potential issues around it. So education, advocacy, and research, that is that's how we operate in those 3 pockets.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, Naomi, you're back. You were frozen.
Yes, I apologize. I apologize in advance if I freeze again. For some reason, my connection is not the best. I am far away from you guys. I am in Canada, so I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just joking. But I apologize in advance if I do freeze for a minute.
Please introduce yourself. Oh, did she freeze on us again? No.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. So, my name is Naomi Aislinn. I am author of a children's book. I live in Gatineau, Quebec, in Canada, which is approximately 2 hours from Montreal and 5 hours about Canada. I wrote a book already a year ago about just a story about my 3 wonderful boys who are battling with sickle cell. And I decided to write a book to encourage other parents and encourage children also who might be going through this disease and not feel like that they are a victim to that disease, but that they have power. So we decided to create this book to bring also awareness to the sickle cell disease and the plight of sickle cell warriors in Canada. We're a small number compared to America, but there's a lot of work to do in Canada. So I partnered up with Sickle Cell Disease, the Association of Sickle Cell Disease in Canada, to bring awareness of sickle cell disease in all the spheres through social media, to the media, traditional media. And we've been doing so for the past year, and we've seen the impact. And I want to thank Marissa for all of her support and having me today to be able to share my story with everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you both in advance for being here, but also for the work that you do for sickle cell. If the audience remembers, both of you have been on our show before. We spoke to Dr. Austin, I want to say 2 years ago, because COVID makes time kind of about 2 years ago, at the educational symposium about sickle cell trait and basically the things that trait carriers do and can experience that a lot of us aren't very familiar with. And then we spoke to Naomi when she did our kids club book, and she read her book, the Super Felix Brothers, The Battle of Autogats, which I think everybody should go and check out. We have the so we have the link here for you right now showing. At any rate, so today's conversation: sickle cell disease, sickle cell trait. Why can't we all just get along? I don't know, but my personal take on it is you can't have one without the other. And I've decided to have this conversation because for a while now, I have been reading on Facebook in the various patient groups, and especially in the parent groups, about those with sickle cell trait, asking questions such as, my child has sickle cell trait. The doctor said it's something to be worried about. Is this true? And I tell you, that question, that's like saying, are you a Trump supporter? I mean, it's just fire. The comments everywhere, and everything is from one end to the other. It goes everything from your kid is fine, don't worry about it, to no, you really do need to check this out. And I generally am on the end of, you really need to go check this out. And then I kind of get jumped on by people. And what I find interesting Actually, no, before I go there, Dr. Tamia, answer this question for us. As a trait carrier, no, if a parent gets the letter saying your child is a trait carrier, should they have something to worry about? What should they do?
Oh, Marissa, okay. I would say I would not lean toward worry. I lean toward being informed. I lean heavily toward being informed of what sickle cell trait actually is and what could potentially occur. Hydration is like the number one thing for all of us, sickle cell trait or not. Hydration is number one. But understanding that, yes, the family planning advising of two people with sickle cell trait having a baby, there is a 25% chance with each pregnancy that that child will be born with sickle cell disease. And each pregnancy, you are rolling the dice. It doesn't wear off or wear off with each pregnancy. It's every single pregnancy. You also have a 25% chance of having a child with nothing, with both copies of normal hemoglobin. And then there's a 50% chance of a child with just trait. So that family planning is usually where the information kind of stops. But that live a normal life, nothing to worry about, asymptomatic, that is where we really need the education to be ramped up. And I will say, and this is really not even a disclaimer, it's just a part of the whole thing, the whole territory. Here in the United States, sickle cell trait is covered in a typical medical school curriculum, the equivalent of 5 minutes. Unless there is a specialization such as hematology, our medical providers are completely undereducated about sickle cell trait because they only get 5 minutes. And so that is also what contributes to the ignorance around sickle cell trait. And also, unfortunately, when sickle cell trait becomes something to worry about, it is often too late. It is often when symptoms have already occurred. It is often, especially as it relates to exertion, there has been an ECAS, the exertional collapse associated with sickle cell trait, or even hospitalization associated with rhabdo, and unfortunately, in some cases, sudden death. So it doesn't have to be this way. Prevention is huge, but education, prevention work hand in hand. So I just want every parent that is, number one, a carrier themselves, to understand what sickle cell trait is. Oh, and by the way, there is also a very rare, but I don't particularly care for the word rare because it tends to turn off people's antennas as it relates to sickle cell trait. But there is a rare kidney cancer called renal medullary carcinoma. So sickle cell trait comes into the picture because statistically, every case of this rare and often diagnosed in late stage kidney cancer, everyone has had sickle cell trait. So there is a direct association there. So if you are a parent and your baby is born with sickle cell trait, yes, you need to know this information. It does not mean that your child will absolutely suffer the way that our SS warriors suffer. It does not mean that at all. But it does not mean that you should just go about life and go with the information that is nothing to worry about. I can just do whatever I want to do. You can with information. You can with awareness. You can with the working together with your medical team, especially if symptoms do start to happen, and it is a fact. I listen. I hear sickle cell trait warriors regularly talking about symptoms, and those symptoms should not be ignored. And the advocacy that I fight heavily for is, regardless of what you're trying to label it, if you have a patient that is only sickle cell trait positive, but they are having pain issues, they are having chest issues, respiratory issues, can we just treat the patient and not label them as this shouldn't be happening because sickle cell trait? I know of parents who have taken their trait warrior kids to their doctors, and their doctors told them, your child is making this up. They're attention seeking. And we don't want that. That's not, let's treat the patient. Let's treat the symptom, and let's not worry about the sickle cell trait labeling, because that part is not correct. It is if we have to listen to these patients.
Wow.
Thank you for that. People who are watching, I have just put a link in the comments, and that link is for you to join our show. When I say click on the link, if you would like to join our show, please do it. Then that'll be in about 5 minutes. The reason why I did that is because I noticed we have a few people who have trait who seem to have many things they would like to say. But before that, I would like to talk about, I hate it when my words miss me. I would like to discuss, it's been one of those days, but another thing that I oftentimes see when I'm scrolling 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, are parents who are often, I guess, frustrated or wondering or looking for a better way when they have multiple children in the house who have sickle cell trait, or may have neither, right? And how do you raise, or how do you balance rather, all of these things in the house, under one roof? And Naomi, I know you have 2 sons. Well, you have 3 sons, 2 with sickle cell, 1 without. And how about you tell us about your experience in dealing with those things?
My experience and how we're living in our home, first we had to come to a place where we were organized, especially because we have uneven numbers here of children. So 3 is kind of like, if one has to go to the hospital, there's one that has to stay with 2, or which happened before, where 2 goes to the hospital because both of them are having a high fever, and one has to stay. So you kind of learn how to organize within the household. And I found wood. We haven't had anything that happened where it was kind of out of our control, because we do have a community of family around us. So I have my mother, I have my brothers, and I have my in-laws who are there to support us in case where things kind of de-escalate and everybody's sick and having a high fever. We're having crisis here and there. I think our biggest challenge is we have our wonderful middle child, which we love so much, and doesn't have a trait, and doesn't have the sickle cell disease, who is kind of the artificial child syndrome, where he's seeking attention, but also wants to help and wants to understand what's going on with his brothers. It's so funny because this morning, medication, and my middle child is like, "Can I have some? Can I have some medication? I should get some too, because everybody in this house are on medication except me. Can I have some?" And my oldest is like, "Hun, you do not want to take any medication. You're good." Okay. So sometimes he feels like he's kind of left out of the attention and what's going on. And especially in the morning routine where we're giving vitamins and we're taking the medication and we're doing this, that he feels kind of excluded for this whole routine. And he's just there looking at his brothers and he's wondering, why am I not like my brothers? But not him not knowing that, honey, it's a blessing. It's okay. But he is 7 years old, right? So as he grows older, I want him to be at a place where he understands his brother's conditions, understand the disease himself, so he could also advocate for his brothers, but also that he sees himself in the picture of our family as a. So each one of my children have this kind of title. So my oldest is the heart of the family. My middle child is the strength of the family, and my youngest is the joy of the family. That's kind of like how we kind of did some of the titles. And I want him to understand that, you're the strength of our family. You are the strength for your brothers. But I don't know how that's going to affect him in the long run, us telling him he's the strength of their family. Because I don't want him to feel any kind of way or feel any kind of resentment in that aspect. Like, we had to cancel a lot of outings, a lot of scheduled activities because of one of his brothers were sick or not feeling well, right? So I don't know. We're still kind of in this whole, my kids are still young and they're still able to kind of follow what's going on in the household. I don't know really how it's going to affect them, especially him in the long run. And I see also my oldest child, who's 10 years old, and he's kind of growing into himself. And he's trying to always kind of compete with his 7-year-old brother when it comes to strength, because my 7-year-old is at the same height than my 10-year-old. Right? Because of the sickle cell disease, he's not growing as fast. So you see that they're always kind of tussling and fighting each other. And my oldest is really wants to prove that I'm still your older brother here, and I'm still stronger than you, right? So the dynamic is we're still kind of learning, but we're allowing them to kind of express their feelings about what they're feeling par rapport as to the disease, right? We want them to express themselves. That's something that I'm even thinking, maybe going to therapy with them and having maybe therapy session, and then we could actually talk about it as a family. It's 3 boys, right? And they're going to grow to be men. And my joy is to find that my joy would be to have them, always being together and loving on each other, but but trying to remove that maybe resentment might happen and stuff like that. So we're still kind of in it, but we're learning day by day how to deal with it. And sometimes we have good days, and sometimes we don't have so good days, but we take it day by day.
I mean, right now I just have this vision of 3 little boys like running through the house screaming, "Give it to me, no, give it to me, no." And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I want to take folic acid too. No.
No, no, you
No.
don't.
Although, I mean, I don't know if it would be as bad, but no. And it sounds chaotic and amazing and fun all at the same time. But thank you for that vision. I guess that's the best way to put it. Thank you for that strength to even 3 boys
But
day to day.
there's something that I want to add. Though I'm very new in the activism of sickle cell disease, because let's say the first 9 years of our lives, I was just kind of focusing on our family, what's going on, and not necessarily understanding what was on around when it came to trying to see myself out of just this bubble, this family bubble, and see really there's such a lack in our community America, you guys are, you guys have this train going, and us, we're kind of catching up slowly to you guys. And I didn't understand that, how my voice was so important in my family structure and my family story, how that was really important and just helping our warriors and other families. And I feel like I'm gradually kind of getting my, like, accepting this kind of title and accepting also my story. I'm from a Caribbean family where it was, you don't tell nobody about your business.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
and sickle cell disease was a taboo in my family. It's when I wrote the book, people from my family started talking about it,
Yeah.
and asking questions about it. And we still have people who are still not asking because kind of afraid to approach it. And I'm just learning how my voice and the voices of my children and my husband is so important right now in our community. And I, I'm I feel like I'm here, like just that portion that you I was like, wait a second, I didn't even know that in the medical field there are only taking 5 minutes to talk about sickle cell. Like, I'm learning as well as I'm going through this wearing this activist hat with my family. I'm learning so much about what's going on.
Yeah, and even sickle cell, again, unless there's a specialization, it's covered in a 2-week lecture, genetics lecture. So that automatically defaults patients to become their own advocate of their own
Wow.
providers. You're often, having to educate, and of course, all of this. The symptom of this is the bias, the stigmatization of the patient, the absolute dismissal or understanding or misunderstanding of the level of pain, the tolerance, all of that. So, I was on a talk the other day, and, we were talking about a 4-legged table. No, this is a 1,000-leg table. Where we have to educate providers, we have to educate the family, we have to be supportive. Sometimes it's just no anecdote. Sometimes you just need a sounding board, and there's quite a lot of support groups, and even COVID in 2020 taking us all completely out. We decided at the As One Foundation, and we just adopted that. Look, our population is vulnerable, so we go virtual. So the education hasn't stopped. The outreach has not stopped. It just went virtual. And by that, we are reaching way beyond our borders and having conversations with people we may not have been able to reach in a physical setting. I'm reminded of being at a conference, the Sickle Cell Consortium, and there were patients that attended that conference from their hospital rooms, and were actively engaged in the activities. So sickle cell doesn't stop, so we can't stop. Technology can cut up on us, but we come right back and get it done. I am not a clinician. I am a PhD, but you hit the nail on the head. I absolutely encourage you to seek out, especially beforehand, as much as possible, noticing the potential for or heading off any mental health or emotional issues. I mean, sickle cell kids are kids. Sickle cell teens are teens. Sickle cell adults are adults. So along with the pain and health issues that they're going through life too. So the middle child syndrome is a real thing. It is a real thing. And sickle cell is a real thing too. So all of that, going on, at the same time, you get the Medal of Honor being a parent that is thinking about your children's emotional and mental state as sickle siblings. And maybe something you can do is just encourage your kid to know that, hey, he's a sickle cell ally. He has 2 brothers with sickle cell. I'm assuming he has 2 parents with sickle cell trait, and he is a sickle ally, and so there's a role for everyone along the sickle hemoglobinopathy spectrum. All of us have a role to play. And he still has to hydrate. He still needs to take his multivitamins. He still needs to, take good care of himself also. And certainly it's something amazing that I see even just in just regular childhood, that younger one becomes tougher because of a tougher older one. So it's just amazing, how all of that happens. I digress. I did want to affirm you in thinking about therapy to head off any negative thing that could come. So
right, because you see it like. Sorry, Marissa, go ahead.
No. Well, I was. Thank you both for. I was just letting you guys have a natural conversation because I'm reading in the comments. People are like, "Thank you for having this talk." And how long is this video going to stay up? It's like, no, we don't take our videos down, no matter how embarrassing they may become. Not this one, but others have been. But just as I'm a 5th generation sickle cell patient, and there are many in my family with sickle cell trait. And the thing about it is that from my observation, it's really difficult for them to sort of recognize that because they have the trait that they might be different too. And it's a little bit weird because it's like I'm the odd man out, right? Because I have, well, yes and no, but I'm the one with sickle cell. And then there's like the people with the trait. And I remember having a conversation with a cousin a while ago saying, but you have trait. And everyone in my family, they're all scholar athletes. So everybody has straight A's and everybody is like number 1 on the team and on their way to Olympics and whatever. And I had a cousin, and just after practice, after these games, would just be completely drained and not well. And I would say, sickle cell is hereditary. The trait is hereditary. Perhaps you need to, to the doctor and share what's happening. And you would have thought that I said, you have sickle cell disease and you got to stop now. And like all hell broke loose. And I was just like, whoa. And, I think that a lot of times the idea that one got the trait but not the disease is very soothing, because to watch what we go through, who the hell wants to go through that? Who wants to deal with that? And then to sort of be told, well, you could pass that you're looking at over to your child, or even number 2, part of that lives in you. To some people, it's a bad thing, and it's sort of an insulting thing, And so having said all of that, I am a great supporter of therapy, because I think that every time your child or you or whoever the person is with disease goes into crisis and you got to take the whole family to the hospital, or the whole family's life has to stop, I believe that once that crisis is over, the whole family needs to go to therapy and talk about what they saw and what they were dealing with. Because I would hate, Naomi, for you and your 3 boys to be me and my mom, and fast forward 30 years and you're having these conversations about what happened when so-and-so went to the hospital. I was mad and you were mad, and then you find out we was mad about completely different things. Wait, what? No, that's not why I was mad. That's why you were mad. No. And it's like, if we had just talked about it then, we could have saved a lot of stuff. Because the thing with sickle cell is that it never stops, and it's like a pyramid. Just one event builds on top of the other, and it just keeps going. And that weight will continue to bear down. And whatever that first thing was it's building on, eventually it's going to crack, and it's going to affect everything else. So I think, yes, therapy is a great thing, and you guys should be talking. And your middle one, telling him he's the strength of the family. Just my personal thought, because that's what the experience is. You in my living room, welcome. Um, Personal thought is that that is what he is, and good or bad,
Right.
that's his job.
Yeah.
Period. Because his body isn't fighting against him, and so he has strength in that. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however he chooses to look at it, once he becomes of age to make that choice to walk away if he wants to. Let's hope
Right.
not. But you know, he, he is there because his brothers need him. And he needs his brothers. And he might not even quite realize that just yet. But
Right.
something's going to happen where all this training is going to kick in somewhere else. Somebody might get a
Right.
broken leg. Somebody might end up in the ER. And he might be, out with the homies. And it was a car accident. And he's going to be the calmest person in the room. Like,
Yeah.
man, what's wrong with you? Nothing. What? Who's the charge nurse? Did you call his mom? Okay, we have to go here, and he's gonna be giving a tour of the hospital because
Yeah.
Right.
it is
Right.
what
Right.
it is. Yeah, and I say that because I interviewed one of my high school friends the other day who now has lupus, and she's like, when I found out, I went through the denial and all of this. She said, but the hospital part, I wasn't tripping. And when I had to deal with these crazy nurses, I wasn't tripping. And I said, well, you had practice. And she said, I did have practice. You did. Because she was the one in the ER with me telling people, excuse me, she's 15, I'm 16, we're minors. You're not going to talk to us that way. Her mom is on her way. You can't do this. She was the person that would take over for me. So, he's learning a lot, and they're learning a lot. And we need our boys to start to speak. We need young men to speak.
Yeah.
We need our older men to speak, but we can't control them right now. We can only beg them to come out and start talking. But the little people, we can train to start talking now. Okay.
We can start with them now.
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely.
So, yes. My next question is, how do you deal, Naomi, with the sports situation? Having one child that does not have anything, and two with sickle cell. Because I know that they're little, so I don't know if that's quite kicked in the need to go out and conquer the field. But yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are a soccer family. My kids are obsessed with soccer. They talk about soccer every day. Sometimes I listen in their room when they're having conversation. They're talking about soccer, watching things about soccer. They're obsessed with soccer. My oldest, who has sickle cell, every time I ask him what he wants to do with his life, he's like, "I'm playing soccer. I'm going to become a soccer professional." And I and again, hydration. You need to hydrate. You want to play soccer, he needs to hydrate. He plays in a soccer team right now, and he loves it. I see the difference between him and the other kids. I don't bringing up because I don't feel like I should bringing up. I think him team and find his voice and how he needs to deal with sickle cell. I feel like and he's at 10, he's 10 years old, so whatever I tell him is I don't know nothing. Right now he's at the age, what do you know? You don't know nothing.
Yeah.
So I kind of let him be, and he's always training. He's always in the backyard training. He always has a soccer ball. And sometimes he's like, "Oh, mom, today at school I had a hard time. I was very out of breath very quickly. Did you drink?" How did you feel when you started? Did you overexert yourself? So we're having these conversations, but I'm teaching him that you're going to have to know your body. I'm not always going to be here with you, right? You're going to have to know that, okay, I'm fatigued right now. I need to take 5 minutes, drink some water, lift up my head, make sure I get some air in my lungs and stuff like that. So I'm really teaching him how to be, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to be a soccer player, and I will help him become that. I will help him pursue his dream, but we're going to have to find tools and resources for him to be the best he could be, even with the disease. I don't want to stop him. I don't want to stop his dreams. I don't want to.
Lucky for you, up over here, sitting next to me. Wait, there she is over there. You have one of the greatest sickle cell trait advocates. And I don't know. I always call you a trainer, and I know that's not entirely right.
No, I happen to love sports. I watch a lot of sports. I didn't play sports. I went to a very private church school, but I kind of think I might have been a softball player had I played sports. And then, now this passion area of mine with sickle cell literacy. So the sports part of this is reminding me, I listen to people. I am constantly listening to people and connecting the dots. And as far as I know, I don't know her exact age, but I know a young lady. She is an SS warrior. She is an adult. I don't think she's 40 yet, but she is an adult. And she was a wrestler in college. She also grew up in a family that it was taboo to talk about sickle cell, but she also grew up extremely academic, and so she could reason. And she is an amazing, she's an amazing mind. I really think sickle cell warriors are just some of the toughest, smartest, strongest people I know. But in her case, I mean, she just is one smart cookie. So she figured out, look, if I want to be a wrestler, this is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to get this much rest. I'm going to have to hydrate. I'm going to have to take these soak baths or whatever it was. She mapped it out. And the way that she executed as a college wrestler, it was as if her sickle cell was her superpower, because and I mean, it's such an empowerment message that I get from her, because she was like, I have to use this and she used it to her advantage and trained in a way that being a wrestler didn't take her down. And she certainly didn't let the sickle cell, and I'm not talking trait, I'm talking sickle cell. She was a wrestler and has now, gone on, and she's an adult, a professional, what have you. So it doesn't have to limit you. And, these therapies are very recent. Prior to the pharmaceutical therapies that are available now, all there was the herbal and natural things that were available. So people were living with sickle cell disease and being, physically active. So it is not an impossibility. But our simple message to the trait warriors that are physically active is a very simple warm up, drink up, rest up. That's our message. You have to go from rest to exertion gradually. That's the warm up part. You can't just get out there in the field and just take off and go, crazy running. You have to warm up. And then drink up, that is the hydration. And the hydration adjusts with your activity, with your weight, and it's customized to you personally if you are consuming half your body weight in ounces of water per day. That is the hydration. And you're hydrating before, during, and after physical activity. And then the rest up is recovery breaks. You talk about your son training every day. Maybe he's going out there and he trains for 30 minutes, then he takes a knee, he takes some time to hydrate, he takes some time to, he takes a break and then goes back to it. He cannot just stay going 45 minutes straight. He can't, I'm trying to remember how soccer, there are breaks in between, they have the penalty breaks or whatever. So those are built-in recovery breaks in a game. But in the conditioning, often those conditioning workouts can be like 45 minutes nonstop. Wow. That cannot take place for a sickle cell or sickle cell trait warrior. They need to rest up. That is the recovery. So warm up, drink up, rest up. And that applies to both the sickle cell and the sickle cell trait warrior. Those are the answers to survival. Those are the answers to, there are pro athletes in football here in the United States that have sickle cell trait, and they often just talk about, look, my recovery, sometimes I'm in the locker room 2 hours after my teammates are long gone because I'm working on my recovery. So it may take a little longer, but it's still possible.
Talking about the trait, I used to play basketball in high school, but I played basketball. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So I played basketball throughout. I think I started at the age of 8 all the way to my last year of high school. I played basketball, and one thing that I had realized is that I was always out of breath, very tired. My recovery was longer. I had a lot of cramps in my abdominal area, and the thing is, I remember going to the doctors and they just said that, oh, you're just anemic. In my abdominal area. And the thing is, I remember going to the. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's an echo, but I hear you just fine.
Okay, so I remember going to the doctor and they were saying, oh, she's just anemic. So my parents, and especially my mother, took care of me like I was anemic, and not necessarily giving me, because of lack of knowledge, of course, not giving me the resources or the tools with sickle cell trait, because they never really mentioned the trait and what the trait could, and what the effect of the trait could be, could happen in my body. So they always treated like if I was anemic. And my question to you, have you guys ever seen this in the community where the doctors would just say, oh no, this person she's just anemic, but not necessarily understanding the sickle cell trait?
Unfortunately, yes. You are not alone. And again, that's what we are working to combat. We want our doctors better armed. We want them to hear these perspectives of, you as a former athlete that was told you were anemic, and really what you needed to be told was blah, blah, blah.
Right.
This is very, very normal. And I think very manageable if people are made aware that, look, I have sickle cell trait and I'm physically active, so I have to warm up. I can play very well. I can, go professionally and play. I just need to, warm up and drink up, and I have to have recovery. It doesn't mean this, it doesn't mean that. Or, hey, doc, let's work together. Let's work out, because the sickle cell patient from patient are just as different as all of us. So even though we can set protocols and there's regimen, we are all still very different, and it needs to be handled on a case by case. But it doesn't happen without these conversations. It doesn't happen without continuing to care and recall, document, and hopefully all of these things equal a better experience for patients to come. And that's all I could ever ask for, is for parents to be aware. I've heard parents say 1,000 times, I had no idea that I had trait. Neither of us had an idea that we had trait. And some say, even if I knew, I wouldn't have done things differently, but I just wish I had the knowledge. And others say very clearly, if I did know, I might have done something different. But both are very clear about, I wish I had known. You know, I want the information. So that's the space that I live in. It's a very gray. It's a very, you know, it has varying levels to it. But certainly, yes, patients have been misdiagnosed or because there are also, Ferran Dozier, he says there are other symptoms that can go along with sickle cell. So maybe there are you know, because there are, you know, you could, for instance, you can have asthma and arthritis, you know. So it's not just linear, oh, all of this is because of sickle cell, or all of this is because of sickle cell trait. No, which is why I'm saying, and I get this from Dr. Maisha Pasante, who is a family practitioner, but she's an MD, who advocates for just treat the symptom, treat the patient, and let's not get bogged down in whatever a label. And maybe there would have been a different outcome, you know, with, because all of it, you know, I'm sure is based in, you know, wanting to offer the best. But if you don't know, you don't know, and sometimes you don't know that you don't know. So here we are.
So I don't know what's going on right now, but I'm only allowed to highlight one at a time. So I'm doing my best to, whoever's talking is being highlighted.
Okay.
You all can hear me.
Yes.
So I have a question right before we go, but how do you feel about the idea of sickle cell trait being seen as its own illness, separate from the disease? Because that is something that people discuss a lot. And sometimes, you know, when I know when I discuss the trait symptoms, I will have people come out of the ether on me like, please stop saying that we have, you know, we're like sickle cell disease. Please stop saying that we have problems. There's nothing wrong with us. You know, stop trying to put us in the same boat with you. And then I will have other people who are like, you know, sickle cell disease ignores us anyway, and we have our own problems. Why not be our own illness? Why not separate, you know, and create our own support? So I wonder how you all feel about that. And I think we lost Dr. Leah for a minute. So I'm going to defer
I'm
to.
here.
Oh, you are here. Oh,
I'm here.
okay. I'm going to put you up and let's go. See your yellow.
I'm a yellow screen. I don't see my face. I definitely can hear you.
Okay. Well, as long as we can hear you, I'm good with that. And I'm going to work on this.
Well, to answer your question, I honestly, I feel that's, you know, it's a little bit of getting lost in the sauce for me. I really want whatever is the quickest way to get these sickle cell trait patients to not be ignored and not to feel made to feel like they're crazy or they're making things up. They're overwhelming the medical system. That's why I keep saying, in full agreement with Dr. Maisha Pasante, just treat them, treat the patient. I do believe that the separation is counterproductive because it creates a division. If we look at this as a sickle hemoglobinopathy spectrum, because, you know, that is exactly what it is. Sickle cell hemoglobinopathy spectrum is inclusive of all of it. So why is there, you know, a separation, especially, and there is a growing body of research that is documenting that warriors are experiencing similar, if not more severe, symptomatology as people with SS or disease. So what is the point of getting bogged down in the minutia of a label? Treat the symptom, treat patient. I mean, okay, it's not sickle cell trait, I've heard. It's something else. Okay, then let's find out what it is, but let's still treat the patient. And I think if that is the focus, then everybody wins, because we're less on labels, we're less out, a box, and we're just looking at everyone along that hemoglobinopathy spectrum, and everyone, very, rose-colored glasses to say, but everybody wins that way, as opposed to saying, well, if you have trait, you can't have this. That's not true. You can't have this. That's not true. So you've alienated the patient. You're still not treating the symptom. And now there's a disempowerment position that's happening, which is completely counterproductive. And I really do think that is possible. I don't feel like that is ideal. I think that is absolutely possible. I don't know if Mom has something different there.
No, I totally agree with you. I feel it's not the time for us to be divided on the issue, right? And be each other's allies as we both are going through the illnesses, right? It could be manifested differently. It could be sickle cell disease and sickle cell traits maybe are put in different categories, but in reality, we are all basically everybody who has this sickle cell disease has sickle cell trait. Okay, so at the end, we're all in this together, and it's not time for us to be divided on the issue. But like you said, is let's now treat the symptoms, and if it's nothing to do with your sickle cell or sickle cell trait, then we'll move on. But if it's something because it's due to your sickle cell trait, now let's deal with that issue. I think it is the best time right now, especially post pandemic and everything that's been going on in our advocacy and everything else, that we have to come together. I feel like now putting labels on what's separate and what's illness, when we're all kind of going through together. Like you said, doctor, there's some people who have the trait and who has greater symptoms, that have more severe symptoms that resemble sickle cell disease. I think we as sickle cell disease community could be a great help to the sickle cell trait community on how to deal with the different symptoms, and vice versa. So I think we are kind of in the same boat, but just maybe different rooms in the boat, but we're still kind of going through this journey together.
I love that. That's a great visual. We're on the same boat. We're going to the same place. So let's get there together. Nobody's jumping off. We're in different rooms, but meet in the grand dining room or so, the grand ballroom or something.
That's right.
Something, let everybody that's on this spectrum should, no one should be ignored. And even if we're talking about the mental health portion of it, because sickle siblings, as in your household, we're all going to come away from this, with something. So from each perspective, is any one perspective any more or less important than the other? Absolutely not. It's just different. It's just different. So each of us has value, and it is not to be lessened or diminished because of differences. So hopefully, Marissa, that answered your question. I just choose to think that we just approach this from a totally inclusive way as opposed to exclusive.
Right.
Yes, it did answer my question. Both of you did a great job in answering that. I'm sorry, our little toy here, I call our new app, for some reason it doesn't want us all to be, on the screen sharing our our greatness together. It's very frustrating right now. But the important thing is that we can be heard by our audience. And, that's really who we're here for. I would agree with both of you. As I've said already, after my experience doing the indoor skydive and not being able to move the right side of my body for 2 days, and then feeling the things that I've felt, which were numbness, which was like irritating pain, but it wasn't something that made me want to rush to the hospital. But I could see that if I was somebody that did not have the disease, but let's say had the trait, and all of a sudden I felt this thing in my body, I have a better understanding, I think, of what they sort of deal with, which is, if you're an athlete, if you're in the military, your job is to push your body as hard as you can. And when you do that and you tip that 50% of sickle cells and your body flips out like, whoa, what's going on? If you've not been trained to sit down, be still, hydrate, and you don't know, I see how that can get you in a lot of trouble, especially if, let's say, training's not over yet. We still got to keep going. Like, I could imagine somebody saying, my left side feels weird, my right arm is not really moving, and then being like, shake it off and keep going. And that person pushing themselves, and now they're laid out, and some of them never get back up. So it's my belief that if you have children with the disease and with the trait in the same home, everybody got to rest. Everybody has to drink their weight in ounces a day. Everybody is taking the vitamins. Your son wants to take medicine too? Good. Boom, baby, here's your vitamins. Be happy. We have two puppies. Not saying your children are our puppies, but we have two puppies, and one is 13 and one is 3. And the 3-year-old doesn't understand why he doesn't get cheese in the morning, because the 13-year-old has 5 pills to take, and that's the only way he'll take them. So we now give her cheese, and she stops jumping on his back to steal the cheese, right? So, I don't know. I just feel like if all of us, if we didn't make having either of these things such a huge deal, and I'm not minimizing the health problems or how your body shuts down. Obviously, I've dealt with this for 44 years, but the training that we give our children with disease is the same training we need to give our children with trait. When you feel like something's wrong with your body, tell somebody. They need to be just as in tune. When something doesn't feel right, tell somebody. Rest when you need to rest, sleep when you need to sleep, and go to the doctor, and perhaps have our children with trait, seen by the hematologist once or twice a year. It doesn't have to be an every month thing. It doesn't have to be some major, news flash. It's just, go and get them checked out, because they might want to grow up and be soccer players. They might want to grow up and be in the Army. And, our armies know, and our national football leagues, both American football and soccer, know that a large part of their workforce, their specialized workforce, has sickle cell trait. So I don't even know that keeping it a secret is needed anymore in order to pursue your dream. Whereas, at one time it may have been.
Right.
So that's how I see it. I'm going to try to put us all on the screen again, but we've been on for an hour. Is there anything that we've not discussed that you guys would like to add, or is there anything that you would like to promote, or right now would be the time?
I want to hear about the book. I want to hear about the book.
Yes.
I do have the book. I do have the book with me. So it's called The Battle of the Autogots. So it's basically the reason why I wrote the book is we were living with sickle cell in the household, and while the kids were young and going through the doctor's visit and transfusion and everything else, every time my kids would get a transfusion, I would say, "Oh, you're getting your superpowers. You're getting your superpowers." And by me using kind of, because my kids are fans of superheroes, so by using superpowers, superheroes, and kind of talking to them about, oh, you're taking your medication, that's going to give you powers, you're going to have more strength. And me and my husband, we've kind of used a lot of storytelling to kind of encourage them. And I don't know where me and my husband like, we should write a book about it, But at first, it was just a gift to them, right? It's a gift to them, a gift that has their name and their faces and everything else. And it was a gift to our kids. And the book it talks about sickle cell, but only people who has sickle cell will know that this was a book about sickle cell. So the mayor of the city is called Splenoct. So with spleen, they get a, because both of my kids got a splenectomy. Is that the word? Where they had to get their spleen removed. And I'm actually writing the second and third book right now. So eventually, the mayor of the city is no longer going to be the mayor of the city. So I'm writing the book with analogies about sickle cell, but making it in a way that any other child could read it and have an understanding of sickle cell, and maybe not just reading it like it was just a normal book in their library. And we wrote the book and we threw it in the universe, and we've just seen how impactful it has been, especially because we released it while there was the pandemic and the whole this whole coronavirus. And in the book, the boys, they fight a bacteria called bacteriolosis. So a lot of the media was like, oh my gosh, let's use the book to encourage kids and they can fight coronavirus. And at the same time that they were using the book to do that, we were promoting and advocating for sickle cell disease at the same time. So it opened a lot of doors for us to speak about it. We did approximately 25 interviews in the past year talking about sickle cell. And we just partnered up. My husband had the opportunity to talk to another dad who his son is he's a professional hockey player. He plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning of hockey. And his son was having pain with his legs, and he created this coconut water a few years back. And you guys have Shark Tank, and in Canada we have Dragon's Den, which is kind of the same concept. And this father of 3 boys went on to Dragon's Den, which is our Shark Tank, and he pitched his coconut water, and he got a deal. And my husband was like, "Oh, I really want to talk to him." And then they connected a father with 3 boys. My husband advocating for sickle cell, and another father advocating for just hydration. And after a year of discussion and dealing and just talking about what we could do for the community, we came up with this water bottle. So Prodrate is it's the company, and with the characters of our book. And as we are going through our sickle cell, the Association of Sickle Cell Disease, as you guys know, Biba, who is the president of the Sickle Cell Association in Canada, we're going to have a Hydration Week campaign from June 19th to June 23rd. And with every purchase of the bottles and the case, there's $5 that's going to go to the Sickle Cell Association of Canada, so we could build a registry. Right now in Canada, we do not have a sickle cell disease or sickle cell trait registry. It is said that there is 6,000 people with sickle cell in Canada, but those are the ones who have provided that information. We do not have a registry to know exactly who has the trait or who has sickle cell. So with that registry, we're going to be able to create clinics, be able to create resources for awareness for our community here in Canada. So I hope everybody has the opportunity to purchase the bottle. You could go to Amazon.com and you could type Prodrate alkaline water, and you'll have the opportunity to buy the water. It's for the hydration week. We're going into the hot summers.
Yeah.
Our kids need to be hydrated. They need to learn, and how this is the best way for kids to be hydrated when they see superheroes on a
Yes,
bottle,
yes,
right?
yes.
And so that was the whole concept, and we really want to push hydration on our kids. And also, you could purchase the book. Also, it's available on Amazon. You could type The Battle of Autogats, and yeah, you could encourage a young family advocating for sickle cell in Canada, in the province of Quebec, which is a province where we're right now rising up as a community and advocating for sickle cell in Canada and in the province.
Well, I just placed my order for the book. I
Yes.
cannot wait to receive it.
Thank you.
I'm super excited, and I am aware, and the As One Foundation is also participating in the Hydration Week with the Association of Canada, with just bringing awareness to hydrate. Hydration is so important. So we're looking forward to being a part of that effort. The one thing that I wanted to promote as we approach World Sickle Cell Day is our Genotype Jamboree Day Party this year. We are participating in a 24-hour sickle cell marathon that is powered by the Cyan Sickle Cell Organization, as well as the Sickle Cell Community Consortium. The As One Foundation is responsible for 2 solid, fun, festive dance hours of music and dancing. Awesome. And prizes and all of that. So that link on the screen links directly to the As One Foundation's Facebook page. It's an event on our Facebook page, the As One Foundation, and you can find out information about the Genotype Jamboree Day Party. It is free to participate. It is an escape, but we celebrate on Saturday, June 19th, which is World Sickle Cell Day, and this is our 2nd year. We're featuring sickle cell artists, sickle cell warrior artists, performances, spoken word, and it's going to be as we're saying, it's a 2-hour escape. So hopefully you'll be perusing on Facebook live from. So Pacific time is 11 to 1, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central time, 1 to 3 p.m. and Eastern Standard Time, 2 to 4 p.m. on Saturday, June 19th. Come by on our Facebook, Instagram page and join in on the day party. And, maybe you'll win. We are giving away 20, what we're calling jam packs, which is, gift bags or gift prize jam packs. That's what they are. Jam packs of prizes, but you have to participate to win. We have a cash prize, but mostly it's fun. It's a fun escape in celebration of World Sickle Cell Day. So any and everything that the As One Foundation is doing, you can see on our website, asonefoundation.org, and on all social media, As One Foundation, to find out what we're doing, where we're educating next, and how you can get us involved with whatever it is that you're doing. We'd love to be there.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Oh, are you on mute?
I think you're muted, Marissa. There you are.
No, can you hear me?
Yes.
Never fails. I was saying thank you both for letting us know about your events, about your water, about your books. We do have one comment. Letitia Durham says she has sickle cell and she has two boys. One is 17 and one is 10. Her oldest son, both have trait. The oldest never complains about pain, but the youngest does. And she doesn't know why. And she finds it very strange. And she said it's weird to her unless the oldest is not saying anything. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Austin. I have a sister who has trait. And she didn't start having real problems with it until she hit about 18 years old. And now she has like joint pains and things of that nature. So, and she also has incredibly flat feet, but that's everything to do with the trait. It's just a thing that happened. But I will say this, it might be that the oldest doesn't have any problems with it, or if he has had some aches and pains before, he doesn't necessarily click in with the trait. And it just wasn't enough to have to go tell mom about. Yeah. Just like us with the disease, we're in pain probably most of our lives. And, when we really think about it, the amount of times that other people really know is very small in comparison to the real 24/7 of it. And then the other thought is that, the baby, it might just be more prevalent. And either way, though, I go back to my original thought, which is if your kids have the trait, they should be seeing a hematologist twice a year. And I'm going to pass on over to the doctor because he doesn't want me to share.
Well, no, and number one, that is the number one. I'll say again, I am not a clinician. However, right. I am going to repeat what I have heard, and that is that every sickle cell trait patient is different. And there is definitely seeing a hematologist and being tested using the electrophoresis so that you know the amount of abnormal hemoglobin, which can be a direct indicator to what level of issues you may have. If you have more, so let's say maybe the 10-year-old has more of the abnormal hemoglobin than the 17-year-old, then that could be why. But patient to patient, they're different as we are, as our fingerprints. It's on a case-by-case basis. So every sickle cell trait, even every sickle cell sibling, is not going to display the same. But certainly starting with the hematologist, and it doesn't mean that every sickle cell trait warrior is going to have any issues. If there is a possibility to tell someone, oh, you have sickle cell trait, you'll have nothing to worry about, is irresponsible. It's a possibility, and there is research that is now suggesting that the older sickle cell trait warrior is where these symptoms are presenting. Again, that's not what's appearing in your sons right now. So just know that it's on a case-by-case basis. Have a hematologist follow them, and if there is nothing that manifests, then let's just be thankful for that, and not just look for it and say, oh, it's going to happen. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. But again, being tested, or using the electrophoresis versus the less sensitive test, so at least we know the percentage of abnormal hemoglobin, being followed by a hematologist, and taking care of yourself on a case-by-case basis, knowing your body and being grateful if nothing actually does manifest.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, I hope that answered your question. It answered a lot of mine. And just to continue to say this again and again, Dr. Austin is a PhD, not an MD, but she is one of the largest SCT advocates that I know of, other than Farhan and Dr. Maisha. Actually, they're the only three that I know that walk in this advocacy thing for SCT. So that is why you will often see me highlight one of those three, but especially her. So we are at the end of our show. I'm going to give them a chance to come back and say their thank yous and adioses, and then I will come back and say, what I say, starting with Naomi. Here we go.
Perfect. But thank you so much, Marissa, and the Sickle Cell Experience for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be around amazing people advocating for sickle cell disease and sickle cell trait. Make sure you guys stay hydrated during the summer, during the upcoming. We've been having heat wave here in Canada, so make sure you guys stay hydrated, and and don't forget to highlight June 19th Sickle Cell World Day. So blessings to everybody, and thank you so much for having me.
That I have to echo. Thank you so much. I also want to ask, is there a code that I need to use to order the Prodrate to make sure that you get credit for it? If so, just put it in the chat and I'll follow that.
Okay, perfect. We'll do.
Okay, on behalf of the As One Foundation, thank you to the Sickle Cell Experience. Marissa, you guys are close to my heart. Naomi, I'm so delighted to have met you and to know the story behind Prodrate, I had been introduced to Prodrate through Biba. So I'm just really excited to have connected those dots. And we look forward to sharing more and more. And hopefully we'll see each other again on the screen and maybe one day in person.
Yes. Yes. Very soon. Oh, Marissa, you're still on.
Yes. The facial expression.
Love it. Technology and I are not friends. It's okay. Thank you both for being here. We've had a wonderful time. I have learned so much. We are very, very excited. Very, very excited to hear about your events. Please send us the links so we will not only post them here in our comments on the show, but we will also post them on our various pages. That's not a problem. Personally, thank you. I have been trying to have this conversation forever in a day, and I'm just excited we finally got to scratch it off the list, and now we can move on to the next subject. But it was very interesting and it was very educational, and I believe that we've helped a lot of people out there who saw it and those who will see it. And for those of you who did not catch us live, you can hit us up either in the comments, you can hit us up in our DMs. We do respond. Any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, thoughts, it's a thing. We take it all in and we try to apply it. I have one last thing. Kimberly Hobb says, would you recommend CMOS for sickle cell patients? I don't know anything about CMOS. I'll be honest with you. I am more than happy to research it though and get back to you. But I do not know, therefore I cannot say. But I will say that I am seeing CMOS pop up a lot lately in the natural health, chats and pages. To me, it feels like the thing of the moment. As to how it helps sickle cell specifically, like I said, I don't know, but I will research it for you, and I will put it in the comments. I do those things. Other than that, we're leaving. So thank you to our guests, Dr. Tamia Austin and Naomi Aislinn, all the way from Canada. Thank you to our viewers for all of your support We truly appreciate you. And we will be back next week talking about sickle cell and relationships. Specifically, do we as adults feel we were prepared or are prepared for serious relationships, and why or why not? So it'll be a very, very interesting conversation. And hopefully I will see you there. Until that time, you guys, please keep people in places, leave them better than you found them, and you will find that you too will be a better person. And have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye.